Happy 2025, everybody. Our first session of Budget and Finance, City of Gloucester for the new year.
This is the first city council meeting of any sort, right?
That may be true, I don't
O&A
know.
hasn't met, and Pete hasn't met.
meet?
So my name is Scott Memhard, and I am the counselor from Ward 1. Bill Cuff's neighbor.
Yep,
Neck of the
represent
woods.
us well.
I don't control the weather over there or the storms. And I'm Chair of Budget and Finance. And with us here is Councilor Worthley at large and Councilor Tony Gross at large and Vice Chair.
Hello.
And Lyons Jones just stepped out of the room, our Clerk of Committees, Clerk of Legislative Affairs.
He's abandoned us.
Yeah, and the rest of you would just go ahead. And Kenny Costa, our City Auditor, keeping an eye on every dime.
Right.
And maybe the rest of you could just, for the interest of the people who are participating, introduce yourselves and state your affiliation, if any. Bill?
Bill Cuff, I'm Vice Chair of the Community Preservation Committee.
From Brenda McWilliam Lopez, Executive Director of the Cape NY.
Excellent.
Karen Clifford, the Director of Community Services at Action.
Sweet.
I'm Kate Shamon Rushford, the Arts, Cultural, and Events Coordinator for the city.
Wonderful. Okay. And I just introduced you in your accent, so you're like one of those coins that keeps.
Are you recording as a secondary recording?
No, but I can,
Thank you. I'll be,
and then I'll just email this to you or to Grace tomorrow.
you can just email it to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes,
Are you good?
As far as we know,
All right.
if we send up the SOS, we
I'm
know.
gonna have Zoom in the background.
Yeah.
So if you do send up an SOS, I'll come over.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Thank you. Do you want to wait a second if we need the whole thing recorded? Just give me a moment.
This is our backup on backups.
I like to have my phone off during meetings, so when it's, even if it's notifications, it's just a distraction to look at it, but I also appreciate they want recording, so. What is it? Okay.
All right.
we're ready.
So we've done our introductions. We have five items on our agenda this evening. Welcome, Connor. Welcome, Larry Oakes.
Welcome, thank you.
I recognize you behind those glasses. We'll take items in order tonight. There are 5 items on our agenda. And the first regards a memorandum from the Arts, Cultural, and Events Coordinator requesting our acceptance of the Mass Cultural Council Cultural District Grant. Actually, I believe there are 2 of them, in the net amount, total amount of $30,000. Floor is yours.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, this is one of our annual grants to support our 2 cultural districts of Rocky Neck and Harbortown. The city historically has matched $4,000 for each of the grants. And for example, with both of the cultural districts, the funds really go to support some signage, as well as the major funding is for our Culture Splash program in the summer. I know also Harbortown is in the process of developing a new website. And with the weather that we had this past summer, it was a great success. We're hoping we have the same this 2025 summer.
We're probably going to warm up a little.
It should, no rain. And
It's not raining this spring.
I know we do need the rain, that's true.
So this is a recurring annual grant,
Yes,
and the matching funds are from,
the tourism budget.
any other council questions?
If I may. First, thank you. The tourism budget, isn't it go to the destination Discover Gloucester? Sorry.
Well, I mean, that is part of the tourism budget, I believe. So that's a separate, I mean, from my understanding, I know, separate
Yeah, but I
account.
don't remember there was additional tourism funding. When you look at the line items, it's just like $100,000, I think, to destination.
There is, there's like there's a separate account for each, because I know in the past, I know there was a previous director that requested to have separate accounts. There is separate accounts for each district, because I remember creating those accounts specially for that special request.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why it's.
So those don't go through.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
It's got a Gloucester Hall, they have
Yeah.
nothing. It's got a Gloucester.
Yes.
Actually, that's the
Absolutely.
whole
Yeah,
budget.
I've
I've seen the
seen
whole
it,
budget
yeah.
is tourism.
Just, you know,
That's
the match is not required by the grant.
Right.
Yeah, the match is there, but it's not required.
Required, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not required, but it's very, I know,
Yeah, it's available.
appreciated.
Any other counts or questions?
So, so $4,000 on these is not required? The match?
Correct, it's not. Nope. It's not a grant, that's why I prefer not to include it in the motion, because it's not a grant requirement.
Okay. Very good. If there are no other counts or questions, I'll go ahead and read the motions. There are two. The first is committee recommendation. Budget and Finance moves to recommend that the City Council accept a state grant under Mass General Law 4453A from the Massachusetts Cultural Council for a fiscal year 2025 Cultural District Initiative Grant in the amount of $15,000 for the purpose of supporting the Gloucester's Downtown Harbortown Cultural District and financial assistance to support personnel, marketing, artist stipends, cultural splash programs, and free public transportation for summer Thursday evening cultural experiences located in the Downtown Harbortown Cultural District. The grant period is from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025, and there is no local match for this grant, and I so move.
Second,
Any other council questions?
it's a lot of activity for a small little land.
That's right, it is.
And we should
Little goes a long way.
we should also note that we are unique in having two
Yes.
discrete cultural districts and receiving funding for each of them. Kenny?
Not discreet,
I just
distinct.
wanted,
We want them to be known.
I just wanted to add the first year we received the grant was in 2016. And then we received it again in 2019. We've received it each year annually since that.
And it increased as well, as I know, but no, that, yeah.
Yep.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
It was, actually, it was $4,000 and $5,000 first year.
Yeah.
And then it went to 7,500, and then now to the 15,000. So it's double, triple.
I think Rebecca Borden was involved in the Downtown Cultural District, and the Ice Company participated with our Art at the Ice House program, that participation of this. Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed. The second part of this motion, Budget and Finance moves to recommend that the City Council accept a state grant under Mass General Law 4453A from the Massachusetts Cultural Council for a fiscal year 2025 Cultural District Initiative Grant in the amount of $15,000 for the purpose of supporting the Rocky Neck Cultural District and financial assistance to support personnel, marketing, artist stipends, cultural splash program, and free public transportation for the summer Thursday evening cultural experiences located at the Rocky Neck Cultural District. The grant period is from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. And again, there is no local match for this grant, and I so move.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion?
I'd just love to know, how does the free transportation work?
That's provided by the water, we have the water shuttle, Captain Steve. Yes, yeah.
I don't know if anyone else has heard of this before. This is news to me. It's awesome.
Yeah, same last year.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good. All right.
Thank you to Steve Douglas for his participation in that. So the motion's been made, and yes, I'm compensated.
Thank you.
But it's an important service on the waterfront. Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed. And then memorandum from the Arts, Cultural and Events Coordinator requesting acceptance of the Making It Public grant, also in the amount of $15,000.
I can provide a little more information. This is exciting news for the city as Gloucester has been accepted as part of this cohort. And essentially, so I can give a little more information. Actually, we just learned the other municipalities include Andover, Ashfield, Beverly, Chelsea, Cohasset, Malden, Northfield, Pittsfield, and Worcester. And the $15,000, it will apply to a call for temporary public art. And it involves trainings, virtual trainings that will begin on January 28th through April 8th that I will be participating in, as well as Alex Koppelman, the Community Development Director. And the trainings will really be fostering more sort of a equitable call for artists for this piece of public art. And it's an exciting opportunity for the city. There is no match required. And the $15,000, 12,000 of it is allotted for the artists in the development of the public art, and is $3,000 that can be used toward administration fees.
Excellent.
Yeah.
This is something new.
Brand new, yeah, it's very exciting to be, it's through the MAPC Metropolitan Area Planning Council and the New England Foundation for the Arts. The city did apply last year when I was new. We did not receive the grant. This was the second year we applied it, and we were accepted.
We'll look forward to seeing what it bears fruit of
Yes, yes.
for us to share and enjoy. Any council questions? Seeing none, I'll read the motion. Budget and Finance moves to recommend that the City Council accept a federal grant under Mass General Law 4453A from New England Foundation for the Arts, NEFA, in partnership with the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, MAPC, for a Make It Public grant in the amount of $15,000 for the purpose of further enhancing the city's public art policies and practices in regards to temporary art. The grant period is through December 31st, 2026, and there is no local match for this grant, and I so move.
Second.
Any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Good work.
Excellent work. Yeah, keep coming back.
Yes, yes.
We love all employees, but ones that come here with money.
With, yes.
That's even better.
We love even
Yeah.
more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Warm welcome
Exactly, yeah.
from your Budget and Finance Committee and the community. Item number 3 on our budget agenda this evening is a memorandum from our Director of Elder Services, Elisa Nagra, requesting our acceptance of donations in the total amount of $600. And I would move to recommend that the council accept various cash donations under Mass General Law 4453A to support the Council on Aging in the amount of $600 from the following members and business partners in our community, who are Peter Kimberly McLeod, Tricia Lavoy, Catherine Groves, and William Lanigan Jr. for a total of $600. And I so move.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Excuse me.
Sure. Okay, we will carry on.
I was gonna say he was gonna call in the middle of the meeting.
So I just want to ask you quickly, unrelated, I'm trying to log in and it just says weak signal. I can't. Are you?
I was in, I'm not currently. They faded out again.
Keep in museum all the way
Yeah,
down.
I'm able to get in.
So I just want to make sure I'm in the right place. Right, it says COG-council week.
People aware of it.
Is that the right place to log into?
Good work. Mine says the same.
More to follow.
Yeah.
So COG guest would be any better.
No,
You're welcome.
thank you again.
Thanks so
Stay
much.
warm.
I'll try.
Internet, Wi-Fi here. I'm struggling. Keeps trying, but.
I'm on, well, I will say I'm on COG staff, so I don't know if that makes it different. I don't know if you're on
Does it
the,
have a strong or a weak signal for you?
it's good, it's working.
Ours are weak.
Yeah, other
Yes.
week, it says COG council, COG guest, COG CLK, I'm not sure what that stands for, and COG staff.
Yeah, I have COG staff.
Do we give your credentials?
No.
That,
That's like one of those tests that we get.
Right.
that was one of the.
No, I've heard from the outside auditors, the guests, sometimes there's issues. So,
So you'll have to soldier on.
Yeah, I just want to read the stuff. I'm trying to not
are
print
you
too much
using your
paper.
Chromebook?
Yeah.
You should be able to go into COG staff. Right, COG staff.
What are you trying to get on
There's Wi-Fi.
COG guest? Oh, on this one?
Yeah.
That's city council.
Yeah, it's a very weak signal. Just keeps trying.
Mine's working.
It's
Where
working.
is-
Carry on. So the next item on our agenda relates to the Final Four. This is not basketball, but of our Community Preservation Act recommendations from the Community Preservation Committee. And these will be project number 9 regarding affordable housing in the amount of $100,000 with the Affordable Housing Trust. Project number 10, tenant-based rental assistance again through Acton in the amount of $200,000. Project number 11, Camp Spindrift with a nature-based learning space, and the applicant is the YMCA of the North Shore, in the amount of $75,000. And the final item before us, which Mern will be back with us on, is item number 12, our Sawyer Free Library Public Gardens application from the Sawyer Free Library for $150,000. So we can start with item number 1, which is the Affordable Housing Trust project. Is there a narrative for that, or who's doing the presentation?
Larry Oakes is doing the presentation for the Affordable Housing Trust this evening.
Larry, are you qualified to comment on that?
I believe so. Hi, everybody. First of all, thanks so much for accepting our application this year. I say that to Bill and the CPC. It's my understanding before I got to the trust that the trust made a few attempts to reach out and grab some CPC funding for affordable housing to no avail. So we're really excited that our proposal in 2024 was selected. Wonderful. 2024 was a big year for the trust. We were entrusted with close to $1.5 million of ARPA funding by the mayor and the city to invest that funding in affordable housing projects. And we were excited to be able to do that on behalf of 5 projects last year, funding some of our best local nonprofit developers in particular to do much needed affordable housing production work and preservation work here in Gloucester. So it was in the context of that busy year that we submitted a proposal seeking funding from the CPC to build on the work we did in 2024 to add to the funding the trust receives currently from the Airbnb initiative in town and from inclusionary zoning fees that come to the trust regularly, to add that CPC grant that we're talking about tonight to allow us to do even more good investment work in affordable housing in Gloucester. So we sought $330,000 plus from the CPC, which would have been the full amount awarded to the group for affordable housing. That's how confident we are that we can get this money out into the hands of our local CDCs and nonprofits. We were delighted to learn that we were conditionally approved for a $100,000 grant that we're here to talk with you about tonight, which is wonderful. Not quite as much as we hoped to see come to us, but a great start. So I'm happy to answer any questions that any of you might have, but I think the real thing to understand is what we did last year was we designed and then rolled out a funding program for our ARPA round, and we designed the program intentionally to last beyond the 5 ARPA awards that were made, to be able to continue on as a pretty robust affordable housing funding program that allows us to rate and rank projects as they come in for funding requests to us. We'll keep the funding kind of window, if you will, open all year round, and we'll be meeting every other month during 2025 and reviewing applications as they come in. So yeah, I think we're very confident we'll get this money in and get it out the door and put it to good use. So happy to answer any questions.
Councilors, thank you, Larry.
Yeah.
One of the challenges that I'm aware of in the past has been finding ways to invest this money and spend it. And it seems like you've, as a group, the trust has overcome that challenge. That was, and now we're getting money into the pipeline that you're in fact able to utilize and put out to work.
Yeah, and I think, right, I don't have to tell anybody in the room that there's an affordable housing crisis going on in the country and in the Northeast in particular. And the state, to their credit, have really kind of stepped up and made significant dollars available to the nonprofit development partners of ours and others around the state. So there's funding at the state level. There's a lot of capacity within the development community. There's a clear need given the crisis. There's all these conditions that are in place now. So there is a lot of demand for this funding for sure. What we saw last year was Action come forward with a wonderful project or two, Wellspring, the Y, of course, Harbor Light. All of these wonderful organizations brought projects to us last year. And what we were able to do was see their pipelines individually as organizations, as developers. We know they've got additional projects coming along in each of their own respective pipelines. So yeah, there's plenty of ways to put this grant to use.
Questions?
Yeah.
Councilor Gross.
Larry, can you give us a couple of examples of where this money's been used?
Sure. If you know Rocky Neck, as you enter Rocky Neck on the left, there is a property at the corner of Eastern Point Boulevard and the entrance to Rocky Neck. It's a single room occupancy boarding house style multifamily property that Action acquired last year. And some of our ARPA allotment went to Action to help them with the acquisition and rehab and repositioning of that property with the promise that it would remain deed restricted affordable housing for extremely low income individuals. So that's a great project, right? So it's supportive housing too. Yeah, supportive housing too. So not only is it deeply affordable to the residents, but there's services that Action brings to those folks to help them maintain themselves in the community. And that's a wonderful project. We saw the
It serves a community that's overlooked a lot too.
Yeah. And honestly, it was nice to see a project in East Gloucester in a choice neighborhood, a deeply affordable project to get funded right there in East Gloucester. So we saw the Y come forward with a second project on Middle Street, which involves the renovation of their existing single room occupancy project to make really boarding house style rooms into efficiencies with private baths. So that's a wonderful project too. So that's really kind of maintaining and preserving an existing affordable housing project, but making it modernized and making it a much better place for people to live in, frankly, with better accommodations. That's just two of the projects. We did 3.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, 2 of 5 that we funded. Yep.
No, that's
Just out of curiosity, and it's not directly germane exactly to this, but is there an ongoing relationship with Habitat for Humanity that the city is pursuing? I know we did a year or two ago relating to a city-owned vacant property. And they're a wonderful candidate for a collaboration if that's an option, if we can qualify and interest them.
Yeah, I know they were interested in and looked at that city parcel over by the extension last year or the year before. It didn't work out for them, but they are a wonderful group. We know they're there. We have a good relationship with them. They did not bring a project in under the ARPA round, but I would expect that with this CPC commitment going forward, we'll see them bring projects in for sure.
They had a previous interest in a property on Marina Drive that the neighborhood ultimately nixed, unfortunately, even though there was a willing seller at the time. But again, they're along the lines of the work you're doing, they're a good candidate to try and engage and get to participate in our community.
And we have them on our mind as we say goodbye to President Carter, right? Who was a huge habitat guy. Yep.
I was gonna make that reference to Jimmy Carter. I
Councilor
love,
Worthy.
I love Habitat for Humanity, helped build 4 houses, and got a lot of good experience doing that. This isn't maybe germane to this funding, but I wonder if, in some cases, the Affordable Housing Trust gives money to an organization that does something with it. And then, I don't know if we're building or doing something directly as a city agency or city committee, but nonetheless, it'd be good to almost market the results. And I know that no one wants to be the one that says, hey, my family benefited from affordable housing money because, the stigma and all that. But where there's a building or a project, I want you to take credit for the work that you're doing, mainly to help perpetuate doing more of it. So that's not a question, it's just a comment and maybe a suggestion. And I'd love for all of us to say top of mind, here are the things that the Affordable Housing Trust has accomplished aside from advocacy, here's the sort of brick and mortar projects that have happened. Don't necessarily need an address or a person's name associated with it, but to really prove that you're making the difference that we want you to make. So that's just my 2 cents. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you.
I love what you're doing. So I'm good. I'm happy that the Community Preservation Committee has supported this.
Councilor Gross, any questions?
No,
Comments?
got mine answered.
Great. Well, thank you again, Larry. I'll go ahead and read the motion. Budget and Finance moves to recommend that the City Council appropriate up to $100,000 from the Community Preservation Act Trust funds as recommended by the Community Preservation Committee to provide funding to the Gloucester Affordable Housing Trust for the purpose of providing affordable housing in the city of Gloucester. The appropriation will be allocated to the community housing category. $60,000 will be funded from the Community Housing Reserve Fund 4530 and $40,000 funded from the unrestricted reserves in Fund 4500. The project will be tracked in the Community Preservation Fund Community Housing Projects Fund number 4910. And I so move.
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Carry on.
Thank you all. Thank you, Bill Cuff, too. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Up next is the project number 10 before us, the tenant-based rental assistance program through Action Inc.
We have Karen Clifford to present on behalf of
Thank you,
Action
yes.
Incorporated.
First, Action would like to thank the CPC for the continued support in helping our neighbors stay in Gloucester, stay in their homes. With this money provided by this fund, we have been able to help hundreds of Gloucester residents avoid eviction and foreclosure. Not to mention the constant stress of wondering how they will pay their housing costs on a squeezed budget and additional other monthly budget expenses. Without your help, many families and individuals would either have to move out of their sometimes lifelong community, and some households would literally have to stay in a shelter or live outside without the help from this program. Many renters are having a very hard time with the increased rental prices in the area. If they miss work without PTO, have unexpected expenses, or have lost their job, it's very hard to catch up when rent is a huge portion of your take-home pay. Many renters are paying over half of their income to their housing costs, which makes it hard if there's any hiccups. Since rent is such a big portion of their income, it's hard for households to save for the future. Frequently, our clients get behind on the rent because of obstacles like job loss, extra medical expenses, and missed child support payments. The same happens to those making mortgage payments. We find that homeowners often have a lower payment than the average rent in the area. So if they lose their home, they might be paying more for rent than they did from their mortgage. We have helped a disabled widow remain in her home through her long fight with Social Security to get benefits so she doesn't have to find work while she's going through cancer treatments and doesn't have use of one of her arms. If she lost this home, there's no way she would be able to afford market rent now, and especially not in the future. Good news, she was finally approved for disability through Social Security, so she's completely sustainable now. To receive assistance, applicants are required to review their budget and are often referred to other services like our financial empowerment coordinator, career services, and education departments. And we also help them apply for other services they are eligible for, like SNAP and fuel assistance. We always appreciate the support of the committee, and thank you again for your dedication in helping keep the community of Gloucester stably housed.
Stable housing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Council questions?
No, it's a fabulous program. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have a question. I don't think I'll have a question for action. I just want to say that we have a lot of awesome nonprofits in Gloucester, and everybody is helping, but there probably isn't one organization that's doing more for the people who need it the most than Action. And I'm very appreciative of the work you're doing. So this is a small amount of money compared to what we could, not actually what the need is.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying we have money to sitting here, but compared to what the need is, it's a small amount, but you do so much with it. It's good work, so fully support.
I'll go ahead and read the motion to recommend that the city council appropriate up to $200,000 from the Community Preservation Act funds as recommended to us by the Community Preservation Committee to provide funding for Action Inc. for the purpose of supporting tenant-based rental assistance. The appropriation will be allocated to the community housing category and funded from the unrestricted reserves in Fund 4500. The project will be tracked in the Community Preservation Fund, Community Housing Projects Fund 4904, and I so move.
Second.
Any further questions or comment? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Keep up your work. But number 11 relates to the Camp Spindrift Nature-Based Learning Space, sponsored by the YMCA of the North Shore.
We have Rita Lopez, right?
Yes.
Here to present on behalf of the YMCA.
I'm here and I have to say, it does feel a bit audacious asking for such an amount for something that's not that essential need of housing, right? Usually the Y is here, talking about housing because housing is so foundational. to
You do
health.
your share.
That's right. Yes, so, I'm here because Camp Spindrift has been around for generations. It's a camp of the 60s, but we are no longer serving kids of the 60s. So camp is, it's a service that helps parents get to work. We serve about 650 campers per season. About 80% of them are coming from Gloucester, so that's somewhere around 500 kids. And the reason that I point to no longer serving kids of the 60s is the days are really difficult when we're facilitating 8 hours of no screen time, just out in nature. So right now we have a pool, which is a big highlight. We've had different zones of specialization, but we don't have a playground of sorts. And our goal over the years has really been to teach an appreciation for nature. So this play space would create a physical representation of that, would really help guide children to appreciate nature. And it would be something that would last for generations. So parks are actually quite expensive. The full scope of this project is about $200,000. And we're going to be actively fundraising to try to get to the final phase of it, which would include, so for this specific final phase of the 75,000, that would get us to a nature-based play space. And then in addition to that, we're going to put a canopy up. We're going to have a living museum where children can learn about the different plants. And then we will have a shaded seating area to round that out. So that's the idea. That's what we're working towards. And it's a final phase of a master plan that the city has been pivotal in helping us to realize starting, I think, more than 5 years ago.
Excellent.
Any questions?
The
Councilor
way you
Weston.
describe it, don't you all want to sign up?
Jump
for
in.
Camp Spindrift?
Yeah.
I just want to say my kids, they don't go to Camp Spindrift any longer. I think there's an age limit.
There is. Well, then they become a counselor in training.
Yes.
once they've
So
aged
they're
out.
in their later teens now, but my kids loved it and learned a lot and really appreciate it. So obviously the next phase here with the playground will be beautiful and exciting. So don't feel like it's audacious, right? Because some of the work that they do helps create some of the leaders that are, bringing something back to the community. So I love it.
And we spend mental health, spiritual health, activity, community skills. Yes.
And relationship building.
Yes.
And sort of challenge.
Character
Change.
development is something that I just had an experience today in the Y, dealing with a lot of young people, and it reminded me of how important character development is, that they don't just come out into the world knowing how to navigate difficult situations with character. And so that's what school and sports and camp teaches kids.
You're making a difference.
Tony, any questions on that?
No, thank you.
Budget and Finance will move to recommend that the City Council appropriate up to $75,000 from the Community Preservation Act funds, as recommended to us by the Community Preservation Committee, to provide funding to the YMCA of the North Shore for the purpose of designing, permitting, and constructing the Camp Spindrift nature-based learning space. The appropriation will be allocated to the open space and recreation category, and $10,000 to be funded from the open space and recreation reserves in Fund 4510, and $65,000 to be funded from the unrestricted reserves in Fund 4500. The project will be tracked in the Community Preservation Fund Open Space and Recreation Projects Fund 4608, and I so move.
Second,
Any further discussion?
do you have a date for your ribbon cutting or your groundbreaking? Well, not groundbreaking, but when you think it's gonna be done? Obviously, a lot of steps through here and there, but
Well, I've learned over the past few years that sometimes the simple things are very complicated, but we are hoping to have at least some iteration of the starting first phase by the time camp opens this season, which is at the end of June.
you have to be audacious. That's exciting.
I think it is,
Good luck
but
with your project.
thank you.
It won't happen if you don't have a goal, right? So
Yeah.
we hope to be there.
All right, councilors, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes. 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
If you guys have somewhere else to go, feel free to hang around and make us feel.
Back out into the cold. And Mern Sibley has played it smart. He's the comfort of East Gloucester, I think. Mern, are you with us?
We have Murray and Jenny to
And
present
Jenny.
the project. Jenny
I
Bennett.
am with us, with you and us. Jenny's gonna be presenting tonight. But I was kind of pinch hitting for her, but she's come from another meeting and she's ready to roll.
We see you. Hi, Jenny. Welcome, both of you.
Thank you, and good evening, members of the Budget and Finance Committee, and thank you so much for this opportunity to present the Sawyer Free Library's Public Gardens project. And I'm going to share my screen, and we have a few slides for, here we go. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Very clearly. Thank you.
Okay, great. So the libraries, actually, hang on, I just need to advance. There we go. So the application is a recreation proposal to restore the public gardens at the Sawyer Free Library, which will provide publicly accessible community gathering places and passive outdoor recreation opportunities in Gloucester's civic downtown plaza area. So the gardens front Dale Avenue in Central Gloucester's historic district, and then wrap around the north side of the property. And it totals approximately 1/4 acre of land. This aerial view provides an environmental context to Gloucester's downtown area. And as you can see, the Civic Plaza area is pretty densely developed with a lot of pavement and rooftop and very little green space. So there are 2 areas of predominantly older family housing to the north and east of the library that are very packed in on their lots. And we also sit right between 2 senior residential housing communities, the 80-unit Central Grammar Apartments for residents 62 plus, many of who live alone, and then the new 44-unit John J. Meany Senior Affordable Housing at 71 Middle Street that has just opened. So the public gardens are the final component of the 2025 Sawyer Free Library addition and renovation project. Our major goals for the restoration are to respect the original design developed by Hilary Holdsworth and retain two key defining elements of the site. So that's the amphitheater and also the Sea Harvest Fountain Plaza, while updating the hardscape and landscape to meet accessibility standards and sustainability goals. So as you can see in the photo in the upper left, the Dale Avenue entrance was constructed with a series of steps between the Fountain Plaza to the front door, meaning that anyone experiencing a mobility disability was not able to travel up in or out of the library through this path. So the accessibility standards for the 2025 Sawyer Free Library is to ensure full and independent access for all people to the public gardens and up to the building. So the infrastructure improvements include ADA compliant concrete pathways with safety railings and lighting, as well as restored and replaced paving stones in the Fountain Plaza and the amphitheater. Also, this new path has a direct line of sight from the staff service desk on the main floor of the library, which improves safety. This new layout has required repositioning the Sea Harvest Fountain for the accessibility path to go up and around it, and moving the fountain closer to the building means that all of its controls and mechanical systems are now inside the building and less vulnerable to damage. A second major goal is for green infrastructure improvements to provide 100% of water for outdoor use, and secondly, to reduce downtown Gloucester's urban heat island effect that results from all of this pavement and rooftops that were evident in that aerial slide. I believe that at times in the summer, the Civic Plaza is 13 degrees warmer than the surrounding areas of Gloucester. So we already have installed an 8,000-gallon rainwater collection tank, and the irrigation system is currently going in, as well as permeable pavers, native species trees, drought-resistant trees, shrubs, ground covers and grasses, as well as pollinator gardens that serve as a greenway for wildlife transit. And this is just a little peek at the rainwater collection tank that went in the ground right at the beginning of our project. So in terms of the timeline, the design has been completed. The project is in two phases. In the first phase, which took place through the fall, the concrete masonry tiling, pavers, and the rainwater collection tank and main irrigation lines were installed. Phase 2 is the phase that we request through this application, and the CPC committee is recommending support for through the CPA grant. This phase will include the final surfacing of the walkways and completion of the irrigation system, as well as the installation and startup of the fountain, installation of walkway railings and lighting, and then shrubs, ground covers, and perennials. This phase is scheduled for the spring of 2025 and is somewhat flexible based on the timing of the grant approval process. We do want to wait for the ground to thaw before we put in all of the landscaping, needless to say. So the project expenses are for services rendered by contractors who specialize in their respective trades. The phase 2 cost is the estimate is $875,000, and that's an estimate from our construction managers, W.T. Rich. And we're extremely grateful to the CPA committee for recommending an amount of $150,000 towards this project. The remaining amount will be funded from corporate and individual fundraised proceeds through the Library Corporation. And yes, we are, of course, happy to accept investments in the public gardens at the 2025 Sawyer Free Library from the community. very briefly to touch on the recreational amenities. There are many that encourage residents of all ages to lead healthier lives by being outside in a park-like setting and participating in activities. And this project also has a number of community benefits, including animating our historic activity, fostering well-being, inclusion, and belonging, protecting the historic and cultural value of the Sea Harvest Fountain, extending the lifespan of the fountain and the amphitheater, and also serving as a demonstration project and educational resource for sustainability practices. So that concludes my presentation, and Myrn and I would both be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Jenny and Myrn. Councilor, questions?
Just one question. Firstly, awesome work again, Jenny. Awesome presentation. I know when you started this project, you said something like, when you took the job, you didn't expect to be a construction supervisor, but now you're, I guess, a landscape engineer too. You can add that to your resume for this design work. It's very impressive.
Well, I think the credit goes to G2 Collaborative, who are the landscape architects on this project. And it's been a real pleasure working with them and all of their expertise. I will also say that the library board president, Myrn Sibley, has a very green thumb. And we also have Peter Lawrence on the building committee, who, as everyone knows, heads up the 400 Trees project and is a great proponent of sustainability. So it is very much with the support of these community members that we have this project to move forward.
And I appreciate you sharing the credit, but you had to understand it well enough to do that presentation. So I got to give you that credit.
Okay, thank you.
First, it's awesome to see green space added downtown, right?
Yeah.
We call it what's the word when there's like a dearth of green space? I'm forgetting the language, but I'm thrilled you're doing this. Only question I have, and it's not necessarily about the CPC funding, CPA funding, I'm sorry, but maintenance. Do you have something in your mind? I don't expect you to have a line item aside associated with this, but is this expected that the DPW will be maintaining if there's any sort of trimming and replanting or anything like that, or is someone from the board, does it come out of your budget? I just want to see that whatever you put there that's beautiful stays beautiful. And we've had
Right, I mean, the library has historically always maintained the grounds of the, back before this whole construction project started. We have a building and grounds committee, we hire landscapers, so that we'll be just continuing that practice with this beautiful new garden, so.
Right. I knew it to some degree, but I want to make sure it was on the record so that we don't have someone complaining down the road that there's additional costs that we didn't know or anything like that.
No,
And I appreciate you, Mark. Thank you.
I'd just like to comment that your plans seem to reflect a very respectful balance for the legacy of what you've inherited in terms of landscape work that was done previously in prior generations of the board and with Hillary and other folks involved in the amphitheater and the original parking lot investment and the rando bench and all the rest of those things. And the work that you're doing seems the Sea Harvest Fountain, you're really integrating our legacy and our history moving forward in a very respectful, appreciative way, I think. And I thank you for that because it's important. You've come up against challenges in the community where people hate change, but you've done a good job of incorporating, again, the historic legacy with what you're creating fresh and new. And that's not an easy balance to accomplish, but congratulations. Looking forward to it.
Well, I
Thank you for
appreciate that coming from you, Scott, because I know you've been involved in some of these really wonderful legacy projects, so thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
A little involved, right?
No, just a little.
A little bit.
9 years, yeah. And the question that Councilor Wardley asked about maintenance is certainly relevant because we've had our challenges in the past, even when they were new, of changing light bulbs on the walkways and getting the irrigation system to run and getting it properly trained and repaired in the spring after winter damages and that sort of thing. But it's good. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Thank you.
Good. Yep.
Councilor Rose?
No, I'm good.
Budget and Finance recommends that the city council appropriate up to $150,000 from the Community Preservation Act funds as recommended by the Community Preservation Committee, provide funding to the Gloucester Lyceum and Sawyer Free Library for the purpose of restoring the Sawyer Free Library public gardens. The appropriation will be allocated to the open space and recreational category and funded from open space and recreation reserves in Fund 4510. The project will be tracked in the Community Preservation Fund, Open Space and Recreation Projects Fund 4609, and I so move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, committee.
Could we, in an unofficial way, make some sort of motion to thank the Community Preservation Committee as like a, documented budget and finance, extends our appreciation to the work of the community.
So moved.
Second.
Well, I was gonna say on behalf of the committee and Matt,
Keep it short.
chairperson, to thank all of you for your work. And I know you spent a lot of time reviewing these
You
applicants.
laid the groundwork for us, and
And-
you make it pretty easy.
And Kenny, because he educates us
All
every
those in
August
favor?
and lets us know how much we get to spend.
You're
So,
welcome.
All right, noted it, kickoffs, I think happened right
I
now.
know, and just one, and I have to do one other thing. Notre Dame is 7:30 tonight.
Oh, no.
I think it's like,
I got my, no, I have to give a shout out, some recognition to Henry Hank McCobb, because
Yeah.
he did spend 7 years on the community preservation committee.
You should pass off to Hank.
Yeah. He was on when I first joined, yeah. So that was,
Bill, thank you for your work on this.
Oh,
To
you're
make our
welcome.
job easier.
Oh, we have a good group. We can help a lot. So, all right.
Hopefully Hank has refound the love of his life in heaven.
Yeah.
yeah, she predeceased him by, what,
Yeah.
3 or 4 years?
Look at that.
All right,
Mary?
what do we got, Kenny?
All right,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
Bill. Take
gentlemen.
care.
Thank you. All right. Go Irish.
Go
Beat
Irish.
those Nittany Lions.
That's right.
Thank you.
Screw pen.
All right, take care. We like to call them state penitentiary, not state.
Well, they were headed there
Yeah.
15 years ago.
No, you're right. You're right.
You are right.
Whole world came crashing down on that. All right, Kenny, how we doing with this?
So not much has changed since the last report, on December 5th.
Thanks, guys.
You're welcome. So it's 33 accounts. Last time was 27, so it's increased by 6. And dollar amounts increased by 14. But I will say, like even for example, the very first account, which is my account, I believe there's an error. That's something that, we let
course there
Carol
is.
know. So it's encumbrances. We're still working through it. So, in my opinion, it's incorrect. I mean, it's there in the ledger, so I report it, but I don't feel it's going to be a deficit at the end of the year.
Nothing will be.
Correct. Correct.
Anyway,
All right,
Yes.
so we're good.
you said,
Yeah.
the dollars was 14. I don't understand that.
From
So,
last,
from
the
the
bottom
last,
line.
so it's 760 this time. Last time was 746.
Oh, 14,000.
Yeah, $14,000 increase. So that's what I'm saying. Not much has changed. 6 more accounts, but then again, I know it's 14, but I believe there's some errors on the last columns. Like, so for example, my auditor of salaries account, I disagree with that number.
Maybe we should talk to the auditor about that.
It's payroll.
Oh,
I disagree with
Which
payroll.
is influx, which is.
Yeah, they're,
Which is catching up. And I
yeah, they're
guess
catching up and they're
it's,
making corrections. Yeah, so it'll be corrected. I've talked to Connor about it. It'll be corrected.
The ship is righted there.
Correct, it is.
But.
It's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
I agree.
But there was some hiccups.
Yep, yep.
All right.
I just have 2 questions. Interest on note spans. This is income on interest, right? So it's a.
No, it's actually, sorry, go ahead.
No, okay. I mean, you're saying it's a shortage of what we budgeted?
Correct, and it's for interest expense. So it's a
Oh.
short term, it's a ban, which is
Our costs, okay.
Yeah, costs. So we, for example, let's just say there's like, for example, like the library. We go out to borrow. It's a short-term note, essentially is what a ban is. So it's the interest on that ban.
So we're paying, it looks like more than double what we expected to? And this is, that budget isn't the year budget, that's the year-to-date budget.
Correct,
So we would have expected that we would have spent 233,000.
correct. And we've expended 456. And this is the water enterprise. So either we didn't budget in the correct account, or we'll have to do a transfer to correct that.
Or interest rates have gone up.
No, I don't think that's the case.
No, but that could be another way it gets there, but interest rates have gone down actually. On borrowing.
No, well, typically we borrow and we already know what the payment will be. So this could be a situation where if we just need, that's a budget transfer. And I see Connor's on, he may want to.
It was the pay down on one of the bands, Kenny.
Okay,
So I didn't realize John had been carrying one of the bands for a couple of years, so it needed a pay down. We didn't realize at the time when we budgeted that it was something we had been rolling for so long and would need a mandatory pay down. So that's what that amount is, unfortunately.
great.
Mandatory, who mandates that? Is that a state agency?
Yep, it's just, it's a Mass General law. So because they don't want to encourage communities to keep rolling short-term debt to avoid debt payments. If you roll it too long, they make you do a pay down.
So legally, we can only roll a band 2 times. After that, you're required to make a principal payment.
We just didn't know that was coming. That, we didn't know that was coming when we were doing the budget, I guess.
At that time, we didn't, no.
We didn't know.
So it's just timing. Yeah.
Just timing, I've heard that somewhere before.
For all time.
Yeah.
No, but that explains it though. Thank you, Connor, for.
Yeah.
Right, if this was a number that was just going up and we didn't know why, it'd be a concern, but that explains it. I'm good.
Okay, motion to adjourn,
So moved.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
And Kenny, you have something else you'd like us to review after the meeting's over, is that correct?